You see moms with their day out to the ball game, but then you'll see some dads with their little ones. And what that means is mom gets the day in, but dad gives them a break.
Isn't that ultimately the best present after all, right? Now Doug Davis starting to get back to normal. His last 3 starts have been good ones. At San Diego, got a no decision, 7 strong innings. The key for Doug, limit the walks, keep the baseball down. That's our Dodge scouting report. Fastball away, the 4-seamer on the outside corner to right hand is a very important pitch, setting up that cutter. He's back to normal. He's keeping the ball down. Only 1 home run in his last 4 starts, and the walks, he's been able to minimize those.
Let's take a look at the defense going to work behind Double D, brought to you by Rico. Outfield, Lee, Clark, Jenkins. Infield of Koski with just 2 errors this year. Hall, Weeks, and Fielder. And the veteran Damian Miller behind home plate. Well, we're glad you're with us one and all on an indoor Sunday. Rain in and out of the forecast for the next couple of days. So indoor baseball, Doug Davis fires the first pitch, strike on the inside corner to Jose Reyes. Couple of home runs, 17 RBIs, hitting .266 and having a nice series. He's already swiped a couple of bags, scored a couple of runs. And Davis misses high and away. 9th start of the season for Doug Davis. And as Bill talked about, looks to be reeling it in. Had that 9 walkouting a couple of starts ago. As that one nips the outside corner, 1-2.
Yeah, that's the pitch that we're talking about on the Dodge scouting report. He's got to be able to locate that fastball away on the outside corner. If he misses, then he has to come inside too often. That's when he gets hurt.
Breaking ball slapped, and it is foul for Reyes, the switch hitter, who had a swing similar to that on Friday night, earned a base hit as it got just over the head of the third baseman and in front of the shortstop. And again, the shortstop this afternoon, Bill Hall. High pop, right side. Jenkins, Weeks, and Clark come together, and Jeff Jenkins puts it away. 1 away. A lot of business to take care of today, certainly. We know it is Mother's Day, and we will honor those throughout the telecast. When Prince Fielder and Bill Hall hit, they will be doing so with pink baseball bats, as we told you, in honor of breast cancer awareness and Mother's Day. We obviously have the Doug Davis storyline, the Pedro Martinez storyline, and it's Retro Sunday. You saw the garb we were wearing coming on the air. Former Brewer reliever and one of the early closers for the Brewers, Kenny Sanders, will be joining us a little bit later on. So a lot of traffic, and we're glad to bring it all to you.
And let's not forget about the game, right?
And there is a game
yeah,
between the Brewers and the Mets. Last night, 9-8, New York won it. A crazy ball game. Slapped right side by Kaz Matsui, Jeff Jenkins. 2 outs.
Yeah, you talk about that game yesterday. Once again, the Mets able to jump out on top. That's one of the problems that the Brewers have had in the last week or so. Falling behind, Brewers able to catch up. They hit 4 homers, including 2 in the bottom of the 8th. They tied it, but Paul LaDuca hit the home run to win it off of Derek Turnbow. Yeah, that was a crazy night, a sellout crowd. Good ball game.
Yeah, for Turnbow, obviously the losing pitcher, he is 0-1, and probably, as Carlos Beltran, switch hitter, digs in, takes a strike. Talking to Derek today, I walked into the locker room about 9 a.m. this morning, looking right in the eyes, and you always let a guy say the first words. It's his workplace. Simply said, "What's up? How you doing?" And Derek is the kind of guy that is perfect for what goes along with being a relief pitcher, a short memory.
Man, that's what you have to have, no doubt about it, because today he's probably going to be back out there. Can't let it get you down. And as you mentioned, Derek Turnbow certainly doesn't let it bother him.
Got a lot of fire and energy in yesterday's game. Willie Randolph was ejected in that wild 8th inning. And the game got a little bit crazy, certainly. Corey Koski hit that 3-run homer. Damian Miller homered as the Brewers rallied for that big 4-run 8th inning. Tell you what, Corey Koski is settling in at 3rd now.
Yes, he is. As a result, Bill Hall has been asked to play a little bit more shortstop. JJ, while he's not swinging the bat all that well, Got to keep Corey in the lineup against right-handers, that's for sure.
Rolled out towards short. Bill Hall, throw a bit high. Fielder stays on the bag. 1, 2, 3 go those Metropolitans on this Mother's Day. And they're going head-to-head with some say a future Hall of Famer in Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, you're not going to get much of an argument from too many hitters, that's for sure. In his 8th start, he's had back-to-back no decisions and still pitching extremely well. Look at the walks to strikeouts. 14 walks, 52 strikeouts. The Dodge scouting report will tell you he throws in the mid-90s and has outstanding off-speed stuff. Good changeup. He'll throw a curveball and a slider. He's got good command on the corners up and down, and the Brewers have hit him around a little bit in a couple of starts. A 5.14 ERA.
Here's the defense working behind him. One of the best at shortstop, Jose Reyes, flanked by Wright and Matsui. Delgado rounds out the infield. Outfield, Valentin, Beltran, and Nady. This afternoon's catcher is Ramon Castro. And strike one to Ricky Weeks. Right-hander Pedro Martinez, last time out, pitched at Philadelphia. Another quality start, 7 innings, 3 earned runs. As that breaking ball sweeps outside. Struck out 10 in those 7 innings. Received a no decision, and a bit of a milestone for the year he's had. That's the first game he has started this year that the Mets have lost. Weeks, fly ball, shallow center. Beltran, a late break on it, now has to adjust. Sliding, and he makes a nice play. He took a step or two back, and it almost toasted him, but the athletic Beltran runs it down.
Yeah, he was playing pretty deep with Ricky up there, and as you talked about, got a very late break on that baseball and nearly didn't come up with it. A sliding catch. See Jose Reyes, look how much ground that kid can cover. He's out there in medium range center field by the time that ball's caught.
Hoping to catch a break on that one. And now Bill Hall. Billy in the series, 2 hits and 9 at-bats. And using that pink bat, he fouls it back to the screen. Taking a good hard look at it. We have one up here as we showed you, the Prince Fielder model, and it's a very sturdy bat. Don't be fooled by anything. It's just the finish on the bat gives it another color.
Yeah, it's a regular Major League bat out of Bill Hall's bat order, and they just spray painted a bit. Dyed it, whatever they do to it.
His mom Virgie is looking on. She's been here all weekend long. Who is it? Is it Donovan McNabb's mother that does so many things in the public eye?
Yep.
Billy was teasing. He said, "Boy, my mom, I've heard she was on Brewers TV, on Mets TV. She's almost there." To Donovan McNabb's mother. He goes grabbing the spotlight, and he said, "I couldn't be more proud to have her here on this day." A couple of guys have mom here. Derek Turnbow's mom, Mary Sue, is in town. Ben Hendrickson's mom, Elaine, is in town as well. 2-2, good fastball. And that's what, taking a little off and then putting a little on, that's what he does so well.
Yeah, Pedro Martinez, I mean, when he was younger, he used to throw in the mid to upper 90s and, has really developed good off-speed pitches. And this fastball right on the corner, you can't do much with that. You just hope he can foul it off, and maybe Martinez is going to make a mistake. He doesn't make many, and when he does, you better take advantage of it.
Jeff Jenkins had that huge deciding, bases clearing with the bases loaded double game 1 of this series, as Milwaukee was victorious in that one over the New York Mets. And certainly it was Jeff Jenkins' hit that did it in that 9-6 win. 90-91, they tell stories about Pedro. As Prince Fielder awaits, he too will go to work with the Pink War Club. And there it is. That is the authentic stick as well, the one we were allowed to keep up here. Wife Chanel being honored on that bat as Jenkins fouls it off. But what they were saying about Pedro Martinez, Bill, is obviously the stopping and starting that he does velocity-wise. I mean, it's called pitching. But they said occasionally he'll reach down and grab 93 or 4.
Yep, no doubt.
Not very often, though.
When he needs to. When he needs to reach back, maybe a 3-1 count. I mean, as you mentioned, he'll, normally about 91 to 92 miles an hour. He's got pretty decent movement on the fastball. and very rarely catches too much of the plate with anything.
Breaking ball just a bit off the plate. I didn't catch up with all the guys this morning, but those that I bumped into said a happy Mother's Day to all the moms that are watching, like Jeff Jenkins' mom's Patty, who he said would be tuning in. 3-2, right by him. And he sends him back to the dugout. Pedro looks sharp so far. Both teams going down 1-2-3. Here's Doug Davis against Carlos Delgado, who is using the pink stick, as is the man on deck, David Wright. Hey, a bat is a bat to a lot of these guys. If they put it in their hands and it feels right, that's all they care about. And it's a nice thing that baseball has done, as we told you. As Delgado pops it up, it is not an approved color by Major League Baseball for any piece of equipment. And they, of course, shed that rule for just one day for awareness. And a good thing. Looks like the Mets have a lot of them rolling in a row. Looks like Xavier Nady's going pink as well. Carsoup.com question, email the booth. This one is for you, Bill, so I'll go ahead and read it. What color bat did you use, this is from Kay and Waukesha, throughout your playing career? Quickly, if you'd like to send us an email, click on carsoup.com/baseball. Visit the website.
Well, it's basically the natural color of the wood. It's the ash wood that they make out of the bats. Make the bats out of, I should say. But you can do it a little bit differently. You can have them flame treated, and you can have them varnished and lacquered or whatever you call it. I use the unnatural, or I should say the natural finish. No flaming, no dyeing on it, nothing.
And you never really wavered to a black or anything like that?
No. What a popular color back then.
The black bat?
Back in the 80s, I mean, the all black bats are basically, something in the 90s. You didn't see too many back in the day.
That's a good email. And look at that, that bat standing out like a sore thumb, isn't it?
Yeah, more or less like that bat right there, not Dougie. But the one Carlos Lee uses. This one right here.
That's yours on the far left, correct?
Yeah, this bat right there. That's more. The ones over here in this area, those are the flame treated bats. Don't ask me why they flame treat them. I don't know.
A walk to David Wright. Hey, today's broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and on board ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, or it says that a couple of times, South Korea and Japan. Bottom line, they're watching everywhere. We appreciate it. We thank you very much and welcome aboard. We're certainly honored if we can provide just a few hours worth of entertainment. And all of us here, we're really grateful for your service. And they're in Southwest Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Xavier Nady. No balls and one strike the count. This is a guy that the Brewers were thrilled to not see in the starting lineup in Game 1 of the series. He has had a very big season against Milwaukee so far in the 5 games. Pinch hit eventually in that game.
Struck out on a couple of very well-placed sliders from Jose Capion. You really can't make a mistake on the inside part of the plate to Xavier Nady. He'll hit it hard. You have to force him to take the ball to the opposite field.
2 balls and 1 strike the count. This series wraps up. Off day tomorrow. Then the Philadelphia Phillies come in town.
That big hole between first and second that they haven't played pretty much straight away in the outfield.
The 2-1 pitch to Nady. In on his hands, a high cut fastball. No surprise to many of you. Powerful right-handed hitter. He hits .333 against left-handed pitching. .286 against righties.
He got it in and he got it up. I mean, it's a good thing because it's up in the strike zone, and anything on the inner half of the plate, Nady's going to get a pretty good swing at. You can make him look bad if you just tantalize him off the outside corner with soft stuff. particularly with 2 strikes.
Long pause for Davis, and he drives right back to the bag. On this road trip for the New York Mets, which stopped them off in Philadelphia, now takes them here to Milwaukee. Nading doing a nice job. 5 hits, 333, a homer. Scored 4 runs, a double as well for Willie Randolph's crew. And again, driving him back to the bag.
Yeah, this is the club, the New York Mets, they can hurt you with the long ball. The Mets are 3rd in the National League in homers. Behind Cincinnati, they're 2nd with 50 coming in, and the Brewers with 56 home runs. 4 of them yesterday.
The New York Mets doing a lot of things right. That's why they are one of the elite teams in the National League. I mean, if you can place yourself in top 5 or 6 in every category, you should be winning.
Their runs per game, 5.1 runs per game, and they're averaging giving up less than 4.
Well, he lost him. And for Doug Davis, you can't help but find yourself concerned about walks. His walk totals have gone in his last 5 starts. 3, 9, 5, 3, 3.
And certainly Doug Davis very stubborn, because he'd just as soon walk you than throw a pitch down the middle of the plate and have you hammer it somewhere. But so when his control is not just dead on the outside corner or down in the strike zone, he's going to miss and walk batters.
You maybe can get away with it if you're a power pitcher and strike a ton out. Davis isn't doing that as much this year, but he leads the National League in walks.
Yep, 34 walks and only 28 strikeouts for Doug Davis. Yeah, but to think about his numbers, you know, all those walks, 34, and it backs up what we were saying before about being stubborn and not wanting to give in. He's only given up 4 home runs. But sooner or later, those walks are going to catch up to you.
Ned Yost was touching on it the other day, and he said, I'm amazed with how Doug in that 9-walk game was able to allow just 3 earned runs in 5 innings, so he kept his team in the game. Talked about the fact, though, that it drives defenders back on their heels a bit. And it just changes the pace defensively of the game as a good pitch nips the outside corner, 1 and 2.
Yeah, what you want your infield, the outfield to anticipate a ball to be put in play on every pitch. And that's what we're talking about, pinpoint control in the outside corner. When a guy's just throwing the ball all over the place, not able to find the strike zone, they don't anticipate the ball being hit.
He wouldn't chase. That was a breaking ball, different than the cutter. Big difference in velocity there. 2 and 2 the count, scoreless ball game. Ramon Castro out of Vega Baja in Puerto Rico. No surprise that he ended up being a catcher. His Little League coach, the father of Benji, Jose, and Yadier Molina growing up down in Puerto Rico. Kept an eye on Ramon as his Little League coach. On 2 and 2, he drives it, but he's very late on it into the club level. And he also comes from the same hometown as Pudge Rodriguez. I would imagine in Puerto Rico, if you come from the home of Pudge Rodriguez, you learn to catch as a young player.
Yeah, he's been surrounded by pretty good catching, hasn't he?
Fouls that one back to the screen.
Doesn't get much better than the Molina guys and Ivan Rodriguez. Rodriguez been playing some at first.
Which is not a bad idea if he's hitting. Whatever is going on with the Detroit Tigers, it's working. They continue to stay in a very respectable spot in Major League Baseball. Popped up, Jenks, a long run toward that line. He's under it, he's got it. And with no one tagging, he puts it away for the second out. Jose Valentin, Bill, we touched on this the other day, that that maybe Jose Valentin is a guy better to play a little bit more and tough coming off the bench. Now you see what he did last night.
Now, there's no doubt about his power, particularly from the left side of the plate. I mean, he's always been able to hit. He's always been a very good fastball hitter, but the problem is that this is the concern as a pinch hitter. You know, you come up and late in the ball game in a clutch situation, he's always been susceptible to the strikeout. You know, Brewer fans remember Jose, here and, very much close to single-season strikeout records in Major League Baseball, but still very versatile. He can play the outfield, play the infield, and a switch hitter.
229 home runs you can see in the big leagues, and the 4 RBI day yesterday as that one misses low. Valentin got a chance to play in yesterday's game, not just pinch hit, had that 2-run homer against Di Maria. First long ball with the Mets, and he drove in 4. Brewer from 92 to 99. Worked in the outfield yesterday. Made a nice play out there. And he lines it to left with something on it. Carlos Lee can't get there. That should score 2. And let it be known that it scores 2 walks, and it's 2-0 Mets. Valentin plates a pair. He's got 6 RBIs in about 36 hours.
Yeah, plates a pair with 2 outs and the pitcher on deck, Pedro Martinez. You certainly don't want to make mistakes in those situations. Doug David looked like an off-speed pitch. Valentin went down and got it, and that ball just took off over Carlos' head to score a couple of runs. Well, you hate to make a mistake like that or give up a double in that situation with the pitcher waiting on deck.
The pitcher who is just 2 for 16 this year and hits .094 in his Major League career. Pedro takes a pitch a little bit off the plate. So you have a lot of things in action there that are not positive. You have the walks, you have the pitch that was very hittable with the pitcher on deck, and because of that, Milwaukee in the hole.
It's kind of been the story of the last week to 10 days, hasn't it? Playing catch-up just about every day.
And he falls behind Pedro 2-0. Well, if anything's going to rattle a pitcher, it's a situation that just occurred. There we go. There's a strike. 2-1 the count to Mr. Martinez. Obviously did a lot of hitting early in his career. Came up in the National League with the Dodgers and then the Montreal Expos. Swings right through that one. Came over to the Expos organization in that Delino to Shields trade prior to the 1994 season. But about a year or 2 later, it was decided it would never ever be known as the Delino to Shields trade again with the man involved. Started quietly with 11 wins with Montreal, then 14, 13, 17, 19. And then on with Boston, 23, won 20 twice with the Red Sox. And that's what you hoped to have happen, even if it means with the bases loaded. 2 walks and a double, and Milwaukee down 2-0. Pedro Martinez, a very good start in this ball game. Faced the Brewers twice last year, but let's first talk about this first inning.
Good gas on the outside corner, getting Bill Hall and Jeff Jenkins. I mean, you go up there against Martinez, you have to look fastball, and he seems to know what you're looking for in a certain situation. He'll drop that curveball, the change-up, he'll change the arm angle, and it'll act like a slider from time to time. I mean, he just flat knows how to pitch. He's got good stuff. He's blessed with good ability, and he understands what to do out there.
El Caballo down the line. Did he get it? It is foul. Carlos Lee homered in that outing on May 7th against Pedro Martinez. He saw the strikeouts. This was the homer.
Got a change-up and hit it into the seats over there of the Fridays. Carlos Lee, I don't think any power hitter stays back as well as Carlos Lee.
And that was one of those frustrating days. The Brewers tagged 5, hung 5 on Pedro Martinez, and lost. And that's one of those, if you hang a 5 spot on a hot pitcher, you had better win. And Wes Obermueller, Julio Santana had bad nights, and Milwaukee lost 7-5. Pedro won the game, as that one is fouled off. But there was, of course, that home run by Carlos Lee. Lyle Overbay homer as well. That was May 7th. Unbeaten Pedro Martinez, and the club is getting smaller as the season goes on. Breaking ball out on his front foot, lifts it into center, where it's run down by the shortstop, Jose Reyes. And Pedro at 5-0 in 7 starts. We told you his club finally lost one of those starts, but he didn't. Brandon Webb, Jose Contreras, and we've got a vulture in the group. We've got a vulture partner, a reliever, Oscar Villarreal.
Well, those are normally the guys who are going to put up numbers like that throughout the season. And Brandon Webb, the sinker ball specialist, and Pedro Martinez. You just love watching Pedro Martinez. I mean, he's like a surgeon out there. He just carves you up, and he splits the outside corner in and out, up and down, and changes speeds. He's a very, very uncomfortable 0 for 4. Guy that can make you really look bad at the plate.
As only a hitter could describe it.
Now, there's certain guys that'll go out there, you feel like you're on them, and every time you go back to that dugout, you say, you know what, next time up, I'm going to get him. And then you pop one up, you feel good again, but not Pedro Martinez.
See that 2-0 changeup he threw Prince? I mean, that's a pitcher's pitch. 2-1 fastball, and he opens up a bit early. 2-2. I mean, you come to the point when you watch Pedro pitch that actually a 2-0 changeup seems normal because he's so comfortable pitching backwards.
He never throws the obvious pitch. 3-1, 2-0.
Changeup misses wide. 3-2 the count.
If you can be unpredictable out there in the mound, you really have the hitter guessing. He doesn't know what's coming.
He took a changeup and a good one. And we always go back to when a hitter is dialed in, they take pitches like that.
Yeah, they see the ball out of their hand very quickly and can identify what it is. Back-to-back changeup, Prince Fielder, and he draws the walk. A lot of hitters swing at that pitch.
Prince having a huge series, 5 for 9. He has homered 3 times already in this series. And driven in 4 runs. Here's Corey Koski. Koski hitting about 500 here at home in Miller Park this year. Has 2 hits and a homer in this series. Homered yesterday, that 3-run shot.
Yep, got the Brewers right back in the ball game, and the next pitch, Damian Miller hit a homer to tie it up.
And then the next pitch, Juaner Sanchez drilled Brady Clark and was promptly tossed from the game. Now these American League guys like Koski and Lee, you see those numbers there, have had a lot of experience against Pedro. Change up 1-2 the count. Carlos Lee, we saw him earlier in the inning. He is 6 for 19, so not so bad, and only 3 strikeouts. Two balls and 2 strikes to count. 2-0. The Mets lead it.
And Pedro is one of those guys that it's not necessarily an advantage for the hitter the more often he sees Pedro Martinez, because he changes it up so often. I mean, Martinez will throw something that a hitter, even if he's faced him 20 times, that in a situation where he normally wouldn't. But you're never really comfortable against a guy like Martinez. Randy Johnson back in his heyday, similar stuff. You're better off going up there against Martinez, having never faced him. He doesn't know what to throw you.
Willie Randolph was talking about that on Friday when referring to Pedro. Along the same lines of what you're speaking about. The runner goes and it's fouled into the seats. A little hit and run with the 3-2 count. Corey Koski might not get fooled this time. He certainly wasn't fooled last night.
Just dropping into that basket out there over the center field fence, bringing the Brewers back to within 1 run last night. I mean, that pitch was down in the strike zone and out away from Koski, and he went right with it up the middle.
That's ball 4. Just a bit out. Pedro was curious where it missed, and both these pitchers following a pattern, a 1-out situation, and then back-to-back walks.
That's off the outside corner.
Yep. But Willie was saying that he has seen very few pitchers like his own in Pedro Martinez, that it's almost as if they step outside of their body, watch themselves pitch, and they can comfortably make adjustments accordingly. Does that make sense?
They don't panic.
Not at all.
They just settle down and...
Damian belts it deep left field. Valentin goes back, looks up, it's gone.
Hey, how hot is Damian Miller? I'm telling you what, you wonder why he's playing every single day games after night games. You can't keep that offense on the bench. He got a hanging slider from Pedro Martinez. Didn't do anything. Reaches back over the plate, does Castro. That right down the middle of the plate, and Damian Miller gives the Brewers a lead. Boy, he hammered that baseball.
I mean, what more can you say about Damian Miller? He's got 4 hits in this series. He's got 2 homers in this series. And since the middle of April 18th, he is hitting about 420. And on April 18th, he was hitting 148. He's now hitting right around 340. I mean, that's just a few things you can say about him. It's easy to throw positives out there. By the way, cat's out of the bag a little bit. The first run scored this year in the retro uniforms. I know everyone's breathing a nice sigh of relief.
Particularly the marketing department. I think that the Brewers got shut out again today. Those uniforms would have been in the dumpster.
And not that the marketing department would have taken them there. It would have been 25 guys, maybe a couple of coaches. Baseball is a very superstitious game, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
2-2 the count. And a smile from Ned Yost. Breaking ball, a good one. You know what? That's the pitch he wanted to throw to Damian, isn't it?
Yeah. But he didn't get any tilt on it. It stayed right on the same plane. And that's a pretty good breaking ball right there. Not exactly where he wanted it, but kind of a backdoor slider. That pitch will freeze a hitter quite a bit. You see the spin, you don't anticipate it being on the inside corner, and it just freezes you.
Strike 1 to the pitcher, Doug Davis. Pedro with 3 strikeouts in this game, which puts him at 2,916 in his career. When you do the simple math, he's almost to 3,000. He also, of course, has won 3 Cy Young Awards, 97, 99, and 2000. And is the biggest winner with regard to percentage of any pitcher in baseball history with more than 200 decisions. His winning percentage, 70%, 706. Breaking ball miss.
Well, except for his first start of the season against the Washington Nationals, 3 runs is the most that Pedro Martinez has given up in any start this year.
Doug Davis tries to dump it in there, and they managed to get those runs against him. Part of the year talking about. Damian Miller has been a huge part of this series. You know what we like to say here in Wisconsin, morning, afternoon, or night, it's always Miller time. Oh, Josh's mom, part of our crew, Josh Adams. try and find as many moms as we can. Just moms that we don't even know. And a good-looking play there by Corey Koski. That's a do or die, and he did.
Actually fielded that with the glove. I mean, he anticipated the bunt. He was shallow at third base, and that's the obstinance of Jose Reyes. He figures that if he's fast enough, if he puts it where he wants it, he's still going to be able to beat it. Corey Koski anticipating that bunt, just able to get him by half a step.
All right, Kaz Matsui.
Is it obstinance or what's the word?
No, that's right.
Defiance.
Well, he is defiant. Stubborn, like Doug Davis. He is stubborn to his game plan. Matsui, those hands held far away from his body. And Kaz takes over the outside corner, 0-2. He was out early. Very traditional Japanese preparation. Walking through it long before anyone was on the diamond.
It was about 11:15. He was out there all by himself. The batting cages weren't even up yet, and he was doing sprints in the outfield. Getting some exercises in, preparing himself for the game today.
Missed some time to start this season. Missed some time in the last couple of years with the Mets due to injuries, and that is new. I mean, it'd be almost like if Cal Ripken Jr. went to Japan and suddenly landed on the disabled list. Matsui played in 1,143 consecutive games for the Cebu Lions. But since the start of the 06 season, he had missed 123 of nearly 330 with the Mets. Leg and back injuries. That pitch is high, 3-2 the count.
Yeah, speaking of injuries, two of the Brewers starters right there on the disabled list. Talked to Doug Melvin before the ball game. No real new news on either Tomaoka or Ben Sheets. Benny's feeling better, not throwing yet. We're anticipating about another month for Tomaoka.
Needs to be mentioned too, the Brewers changed their bullpen look a little bit. Jared Fernandez sent down to the minor leagues, a knuckleballer, and the Brewers, they went to work acquiring left-handed pitcher Brian Schaus from the Texas Rangers. In exchange for Enrique Cruz, he is in the bullpen. He is available. Started the season on the disabled list with Texas.
Yep, specialty is a frisbee-type slider. I mean, he throws from, he drops down a little bit, about 3/4. Tough angle for a left-handed hitter, and that's going to be his job, to get a left-hander out in a tough situation. In that discussion with Doug Melvin, mentioned that the Brewers' 3 opponents on this homestand have some pretty good thump from the left side. That's why they picked him up and brought him in right away. Chase Utley, you got Ryan Howard with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Makes his home in Washington, Illinois. So when he arrived today, he arrived in his own car. Went home, grabbed his car, and came to work for his new ball club. That one misses in. 3-0 the count. 2 walks last inning. Certainly hurt Doug Davis as Valentin doubled in a pair. His club pulled him right back on top, 3-1. And now a walk and a 3-0 count. 3-1 the count.
Yeah, 4 of the 5 walks have scored in this ball game. 2 by Pedro Martinez, 3 by Doug Davis. 4 of them have scored, as they normally do.
Just another thought on Brian Schaus out there in the bullpen. A couple of years ago with the Rangers in 04 and 53 appearances, his ERA was 2.23. His career numbers pretty respectable, 3.99. He certainly is a veteran, 37 years old. But maybe a nice shot in the arm for him, and certainly out of Bradley University, a nice shot for the Brewers.
Yeah!
Doug Davis comes all the way back, and a nice job.
Well, he got a lot of help that time from Carlos Beltran. I don't remember seeing Beltran swinging a pitch like this. I mean, that pitch literally shoulder high. He went after it. Thank you very much. It would have been another walk. As it ends up, it's a strikeout for Doug. His second of the game. White Beltran was ahead in the count 3-0 and ended up striking out.
And certainly, as you mentioned, swung at ball 4. Three to 2, Milwaukee leads. Damian Miller, a 3-run homer. Big shift here for Delgado. When we say big, we mean huge. I mean, Corey Koski, if he was a shortstop, would be playing him to pull. He's the third baseman.
And the Brewers are telling Carlos Delgado, if you want to just bunt one toward third base, we'll give you a base hit. Just don't want you hitting it out of the ballpark on us. And that's a more exaggerated shift on Carlos Delgado than you'll see against anybody.
What do you think about that trade? Just to finish with a few thoughts on it. It's been a long time since Brewers have had a left-handed specialist.
Mike Myers?
Mike Myers was before my time even. This is my 5th year. Ray King certainly was a guy who was a lefty specialist. Would face both, though. But certainly crushed lefties, no doubt about it. I mean, Schaus in his career has an opposing left-handed batting average of .218.
Not bad.
And that, of course, is in a lot of work in the big leagues. Davis, high and tight, hits Carlos Delgado. And so a walk last inning, a walk, a strikeout, and then a hit batter.
And you can see Ted Barrett take a nice little jaunt to the infield part of the area in front of the pitcher's mound just to make sure that there aren't any repercussions from last night. Damian Miller walked Carlos Delgado down the line a few steps just to make sure there wasn't going to be any problem. I don't think that's going to hurt Carlos Delgado. Just above the elbow, though. Those have a tendency to smart a bit. You can see the peacekeeper just making sure there's not going to be any flare-ups.
3-2 the score. Milwaukee leads it. David Wright rolls it foul. Well, that's a situation I guess you could understand maybe with nobody on and you target a certain hitter for retaliation, but there is no way, no how Davis did that intentionally.
Well, you're not going to do any retaliating early in the ball game with a 1-run lead. There's no way. I mean, I think Willie Randolph, as much as anybody, understands situations, and players can understand. They know when it's intentional or not. They have a pretty good sense of it. Now you get a 5-6 run lead. You get it about the 6th or 7th inning, a leadoff hitter maybe, but not in these situations.
And especially to set the table for a man who has crushed Milwaukee pitching. 4 homers, 17 RBIs in just 14 games. Young man David Wright, and that cutter is high, 2-1 to count.
Yeah, the other thing that'll tip an umpire off as to why you don't issue a warning in certain situations when the hitter gets plunked by one is the fact that Doug's been all over the place in the last couple innings. I mean, his control really has not been there, and not surprising that he let one get away.
Two balls and 2 strikes to count. Signed out of Hickory High School, Mets #1 pick in '01. That's in Chesapeake, Virginia. And big thoughts of going to Georgia Tech, but you're a first-round pick. Not a bad choice to begin your pro career. And that's what he opted to do, and he's a good one. 2-2 and toward right field. Jenkins right on it. Puts it away. Davis. Well, he stayed in trouble in this game, but he works out of it. And Pedro Martinez, Ricky Weeks, as Pedro goes back to work. We talked about that start for Martinez. Last year, May 7th, a fortunate win, really, for Pete, as they call him. On August 3rd, he went 7 innings, allowed 3 earned runs and a homer in that game, and today has allowed a homer already. 1-2 the count. Brewers beat the Mets 6-4 in that August 3rd game. Blast from the past. Victor Santos allowed them to hang in there against Pedro and eventually win against Braden Looper. Chop to the right side. Kaz Matsui erases Ricky Weeks. Weeks had flied to center first time up. The home run last year in that second game, Billy Hall hit it against Pedro Martinez on August the 3rd. That game was at Shea Stadium and Billy took him deep. He takes strike one. Hall struck out as 1 for 7 in his career against Pedro with that home run.
That is nasty, isn't it? I mean, out of his hand, I mean, Bill Hall's up there. I mean, that ball looked like a fastball coming out of the hand and then just dropped as it got to home plate. That's a nasty pitch.
And he waves at a breaking ball. Hall 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts on the afternoon.
Well, 3 strikeouts for Pedro Martinez. That gives him 55 on the year. Second behind Carlos Zambrano with the Cubs in strikeouts in the National League. First in all of baseball in opponent batting average at 164. So to get 3 runs on this guy is quite the feat.
Hit a homer, Jeff. Good changeup, 1-1 the count. Good shot there. I mean, when your career ERA in 426 major league games is 2.72, you can pitch.
Yeah, when you played a lot of games or pitched a lot in Fenway Park. A lot of runs in that yard.
Tied his hands up there. Let's see if David Wright can get there. He can, and the Brewers are done as far as Pedro is concerned. 1, 2, 3. He'll get you next time, young man. Got to be one of them.
Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson. I mean, of all time?
That's of all time.
Oh, wow.
Which means it's got to be someone that is, oh, like a Burt Blyleven even could be on that list. Someone that has struck out at 3,000 or around there. Xavier Nady, 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Do you like that question?
I do. I mean, you don't see many of our trivia questions cover the entire scope of baseball history.
The history of the world. That's exactly right.
I mean, you're talking about Bob Feller, guys like that, Sandy Koufax. Of course, Koufax didn't pitch as long, but Don Drysdale, guys like that. Ron Guidry.
I mean, every pitcher, Dwayne Bice, as that one is rolled out. Jaime Kokenauer, 1-2 the count. Rick Sutcliffe could be included in that group of all pitchers of all time. Davis with the windup. They're playing into pull a step. The 1-2 breaking ball. 2-2 the count. That's a pitch I think that's very important for him. We've noted in his good starts, Bill, that he needs to drop a few good curveballs in there for strikes, even for effect.
Yeah, and he started to do that in his last start at San Diego, and very effective. Able to start a hitter off of that curveball. He did that a lot last year. Really hasn't had the feel for that pitch yet.
That's a good take right there for Nady. A lot of hitters hack at that pitch.
Yeah, slider, curveball, something like that. Not sure what it is.
The 3-2 pitch. Cut fastball in on his hands. Yeah, it was his last start. About 3rd or 4th inning, he threw one to Brian Giles. Good, tight, late breaking, and it dialed him in until he was knocked around later in the game, but still was knocked around throwing strikes.
Good numbers for Doug. I mean, hits and earned runs. The walks have been a problem for him, though. More walks than strikeouts.
And Nady is sent back to the dugout. 3 strikeouts for Doug.
Join Major League Baseball and the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation in the Strikeout Challenge to raise awareness for breast cancer research. Log on to MLB.com and look for the pink ribbon for more information on how you can help. Got our pink ribbons on today.
Certainly do. This game does a very nice job on special days throughout the year. Opening Day, Independence Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day for prostate cancer, a lot of awareness. The game of baseball is certainly a corporation that is generating a large amount of dollars, but a lot of those dollars go to awareness and good causes at the end of the day as well.
You bet.
And they should. I mean, obligated, I think.
Part of the community, why not, right?
Well, they fulfill that obligation.
Got to stay involved. Mike Vasallo, the Brewers Director of Media Relations, printed today's starting lineups that he gives to everybody in the press box in pink paper. It's kind of a nice effect.
It's a nice touch. I did catch that.
Did you catch the connection?
I did. 3-1 the count.
He's wearing a pink shirt today.
And you see the bases. The bats that the players are using, the pink ones, will be autographed and then available for auction. And to raise money for breast cancer awareness, and another walk for Davis. These bats will be available at MLB.com with all proceeds going to breast cancer research.
Now the 4th walk issued by Doug Davis, and he's only given up 1 hit. Unfortunately, that came with 2 outs after walking a couple and plated a couple of runs. That home plate has been moving around on Doug just about all season.
And now Jose Valentin, who torched him with a double back in the 2nd. Right in on his hands, hugging the line. Davis, no chance. Infield hit, a swinging bunt. And what happens is, you're frustrated when that happens as a pitcher, but you compound your problems when it happens after a walk.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen occasionally. Guys going to take a hack and earn one like that.
Well, and the other thing is now, it's an infield hit. It goes about 10 feet, and, Pedro Martinez is probably going to go up there and bunt, and then you have the top of the order to deal with men in scoring position. Off the knuckles is Jose Valentin, able to keep it fair. No chance for Doug. He does the smart thing and just holds on. That might be the shortest base hit that Jose Valentin's ever had. I mean, that literally went, I think, 10 feet.
Just for the sake of discussion, you, a former major leaguer, do you give those back?
No. Oh, no.
I just want to make sure.
No.
1 sack bunt this year for Pedro. And he won't do it on that one. 1-0 the count. Because I would imagine even within the next week, Valentin's going to hit a laser beam or 2 right at someone.
Yep. Well, right now it's 2 for 2 in the box score. The box score does not include highlights. He's still laughing about it.
Inside, 2-0 the count. 75 pitches thrown by Davis as he works here in the 4th inning. Pedro thought that was a little bit high. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, pulling it back as though that ball was right at his head. He looked at the umpire, then looked in the dugout. And all the moving around he's doing in that box, how does he know if it's a strike?
Inside corner, 2-2. He's always been able to speak with those eyes, I tell you. Whether it's a couple of years ago looking into that Yankees dugout at Fenway Park in the postseason, or turning around here and looking at Ted Barrett. Speaks very loudly with those eyes. A diminutive pitcher for sure for a guy who does such big things. On 2 strikes, he gets it down. And Ricky barely stayed on that bag.
Good job by Ricky Weeks to keep his foot on the bag and, you know, give the umpire the impression that, yeah, I had my foot on the bag. If he tried to reach back just in case, I think Las Diaz might have called him safe. But a nice job by Pedro with 2 strikes on him. And you see Ricky just on the toe with that bag, gets the out.
Now you make a good point. You start stabbing around with that foot.
Yeah, then the umpire is going to give the safe sign. But Doug having a tough time throwing a strike to first base here today.
All right, here's the key of this inning. As you predicted, he would face a tough hitter. Hosky, a nice job cutting across, and he got him. Davis living in trouble, but he hopes to be moving away soon. That's an exclusive club. Nolan Ryan, obviously the elite in that club. And Randy Johnson in there. Now, we have talked about it, bats that you have had against Randy and Roger, correct?
Yeah.
Did you ever have any against Nolan?
Yes.
And?
I did. I think it was 1 for 4 against Nolan Ryan. One game. It was the first game of a doubleheader in the twilight at Arlington Stadium. Actually hit a double off of Nolan.
An imposing presence out there just because of the history that he brings along with him?
Oh, no doubt about it. You don't know if he's going to paint you on the outside corner or hit you in the helmet. But, yeah, he was something else.
Carlos against Pedro. Scorches it to center field, but Beltran is right there. Prince Fielder has homered 3 times this week, and he walked against Pedro last time up. Let's look back.
I tell you, Prince Fielder has got that rare combination of good command of, you know, the strike zone. He really changes his approach, lefty-righty. There's a home run last night that looked like it hit the top of the fence, hit the foul pole, which is a home run. I mean, we showed on the broadcast open today that, you know, pretty much the same pitch on Friday night. A pitch out away from him, down in the strike zone against a right-hander. His approach is that he feels he can pull the ball a little bit more. Hit it off the Roadrunner side, and then against a left-hander, he hit it in the Brewer bullpen.
Well, he turned that pitch around high and inside, and some interesting names on that list. Russell a couple of times, Wes Helms, Justin Morneau in the history of Miller Park.
Yeah, well, the Brewers are going to see Justin Morneau next weekend. Twins come into town.
Yeah, that's right, interleague baseball. When do they see Big Tex? Wes Helms, of course. It's not for a while.
Brewers go eastbound and down to Philly, or I should say Florida.
In on the hands, boy. He kept pounding him inside. It's not playable. Oh, that's a tough break there for a fan down below. Lose a souvenir. They got it back, though. You notice Prince, he was very respectful with the pink bat first time up, and not anymore.
Yeah, well, he was an offer. Actually a walk. He did it, you know, just for show, and now he's going back to the bat that's been hot for him.
He certainly has a lovely wife and a good mom at just 22 years old. His wife Chanel with little boy Jaden about 20 months old and one about 1 month old in Haven. Breaking ball, got him on the outside corner. Fielder goes down on strikes.
Not much you can do on a pitch like that. I mean,
doesn't matter what color your bat is, does it?
Doesn't matter what color your bat. You just hope that you live to see another pitch. But that backdoor slider, a tough pitch to command, catches plenty of the plate. Started on the outside corner. Prince hoping that it was going to stay away, but it broke and caught plenty of the plate.
Corey Koski with something on it. To the corner goes that baseball. It is down and extra bases. Bounding over the wall, a ground rule double for Corey Koski. Well, he is raking over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he kept his hands back just long enough on that changeup to keep it fair. He was out in front, but again, keeping the hands back gives you enough power to be able to stick that one down in the corner. Good job of staying back that time. Ball going away from him, hooks it, and rips it right down the line for a ground rule double. Got to believe they're going to pitch around Damian Miller in this situation. Why would you pitch to him? I mean, as hot as he's been, you have first base open and 2 outs, Brady Clark on deck.
Pitches wide, and as you predicted, at least in the first pitch, Miller with a 3-run home run in the second. On this homestand, or on this series, he has 4 hits, couple of home runs. And he nubs it right side, well out front. They went after him enough. And Damian is retired, running hard, but Miller is erased. Former Brewers reliever Ken Sanders joins us right after this. One of the early closers, one of the original Brewers, Kenny Sanders, joining us up here. Closer with the Brewers back in the early 70s, came from Seattle, and we look forward to hearing those stories. And congratulations as we honor you today.
Well, thank you very much. It's always good to be at the ballpark, and it's even more fun when we have such a good, exciting team this year.
Yeah, it certainly is great, and obviously this exciting team hopefully getting something going for Kenny Sanders and the Brewers. For you, I asked you this earlier, was it a combination of being scary and yet exciting to come here to Milwaukee from Seattle?
It certainly was, because being traded from Oakland to Seattle at that time, and then they filed bankruptcy. So when they filed bankruptcy, we didn't know where we were going. So it was exciting and fun.
It's got to be a big thrill. Now, the first guy that we had in here on Wetro Sunday was Gorman Thomas, and last time was Larry Heisel. Now you, how do you think about following up those two handsome men?
Well, that's a scary thing, and fortunately they were both teammates at one time, and Larry and I played together in Minnesota after I did leave here, and they were two great, I feel honored because they were two great Brewer legends.
Kenny Sanders was a Brewer from 70 to 72, folks, and those 61 saves before the time that the closer was coming in and just getting 3 outs, and that's not to diminish what Derek Turnbow does. Base hit to left field for Matsui, but it was a different time for relievers back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, of course, a different era. In fact, in '71, when I was Fireman of the Year here, the manager, Dave Bristol, came to me at the end of the season with 2 weeks, and he says, "You want to start 2 games?" I said, "What are you, crazy? I've pitched in 70-some games." He said, "You're 14 innings short of enough innings to win the ERA title." So I, of course, declined.
What was the fan reaction back in the early days of the Milwaukee Brewers? You got here in '71, and big crowds. I mean, what was the attitude of Milwaukee when the team came back?
Well, initially they were very excited, and to have a major league team back.
That is drilled to center field off the bat of Beltran. Brady Clark into the triangle, and he's got just enough room to run it down. Mr. Beltran interrupted you. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. It's long we got him out. That's an important thing.
Is that the key?
Started good things for the Brewers. Not so much because they got rid of you, but they brought money over.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like transfers with corporations, but with trades, or your career is over. Many times the player is the last one to know that, and. I was actually with the equipment manager after the season, and he had 2 Philadelphia hats, so.
Kind of writing on the wall, right?
Yeah, he knew I was going somewhere, but he couldn't remember my hat size. But it wasn't like a Barry Bonds where my head grew 2 sizes.
I like it. We bring the honesty back when we bring the old school players in.
That's true.
Lou Krause, Marty Patton, Johnny Briggs, Jim Longborg, a young Darrell Porter. Just to name a few of your many Brewers teammates, a few that jump out and stick in your memory?
Well, I remember Lou Krause pitching that first game, which was really, finally baseball back here. I think one of the ones that stick out most is the little general, Ron Theobald. He was a really good defensive second baseman.
1-2, the count to Delgado. Swung on and missed. Dougie D gets him there.
Great pitch. But one quick story about Ron Theobald, and maybe it's indicative of how great my '71 season was. He actually came to bat in the Sunday afternoon game. He adjusted his batting gloves, got ready to hit off of Jim Palmer. Third base coach Roy McMillan came streaming down third baseline, hollered timeout. Theobald looked at him like he was crazy. He literally went to bat without a bat. He left his bat in the on-deck circle.
Oh, my.
The years of 70, 71, the early times with the Brewers. And it was different. 83 appearances when you had those 31 saves, but you had to throw 136 innings during those 31 saves.
Well, that was a different era, and it was a different philosophy, I think, with the transitions that have evolved since then. That we didn't have setup man, a right-hand setup man, a left-hand setup man, and when you think about all the games that we pitch in, whether it be Turnbull or myself in those days, I kept a book. And I'd actually warmed up 400 and some times that year. So,
well, times were different then too. I mean, the Brewers right now have 8 relievers in the bullpen. I mean, back in those days it was 10-man pitching staff, right?
Right.
4 starters, 6 guys in the bullpen, and you guys had to eat up some innings.
Definitely, and I played on other teams, and I played with Nolan Ryan, and I played with Gaylord Perry. They sometimes threw 200 and some pitches a game. And today you put a pitcher at risk when you have to throw that many pitches.
By the way, folks, those 83 appearances, still a single-season team record for the Bulldog Kenny Sanders, an original Brewer as we remember.
Thank you. When I come back, Darren, you're going to renegotiate my contract.
If you'll renegotiate mine. We'll take care of one another.
That's a deal.
2-2 the count to David Wright. Kansas City, Boston, Oakland, Cleveland, Minnesota, California, these Mets. But you kept your home here. Why Milwaukee? Why Wisconsin?
It truly is a great place on a great lake. It's a wonderful place to raise a family. I went into business here because, of course, I didn't make the money they're making today.
Sure.
And it's just a wonderful community.
And certainly honored that we have you here. It's one of the things that I think this organization is proud of, whether it's Dan Kolb opting to stay in Wisconsin or former Brewers like yourself and Jim Ganton or Gorman Thomas. They keep their home and support the club. This club needs it. Well, I would imagine you're proud of where this club goes over the last few years.
Oh, where they're headed is really exciting. And I played almost 18 years professionally, and sometimes you get away from it where you don't watch or see the games. But I'm excited. I don't want to miss any of these games this year.
Yeah, that's because the television announcers are so fabulous.
That's true. You two guys are the greatest. It's like I'm sitting up here next to 2 Vin Scully clones.
There you go, yeah. Okay.
You know what's funny is you go spend time with Mr. Scully and you're reminded how much you have to learn, as we did last week. Runner will take off, 3-2 count. And it's belted, but way foul.
But you talk about how much you learn from a Scully or whoever. That's in business every day. That's every day for Prince Fielder and for all of us. So this is going to be a really fun time for you and Bill and Darren this year.
Well, it's been very interesting so far this year. Trying to watch this young team. I mean, young infield in particular. Get their feet under them and get a little bit more consistency, a little bit of ups and downs. Can you see a little bit of similarity for the young Brewers when they first started in 1970 to these guys trying to get their sea legs?
Well, that first team in the 70s, there were 2 expansion teams back then. One went for youth, and the Brewers, which were the Seattle Pilots, went for an older group of guys. But I had a conversation with Robin Yount before the team. He said, every one of the guys on this roster are great guys, and he said with that to win, you need some talent, and he feels that there are a lot of young talented kids on this team.
Well, and that's the key, and I think how patient, you mentioned it down on the field to this crowd, how patient Doug Melvin has been, because I would think, Kenny, along the way, even when you played or now that you watch for GMs, it's hard to keep guys in the minors when you know they're good. That's true, because you're going to lose them somewhere. And you can't make that mistake of keeping a journeyman player in the big leagues, just like Overbay last year. He was well-liked in the community, great guy, great player, but sometimes you have to make a business decision and to move him and to get those young kids here. But yet you can't get them here too soon, though, or you could harm them irreparably, really. That's true. If, for example, we all know how Prince Fielder started the season. If he'd have struck out, 18 or 20 times and he wasn't indicating he wasn't ready, you might have jeopardized his career and confidence, because the biggest thing, and both of you are professionals on the air and in your previous career,
that's the hardest thing to get is your confidence. It's hard to teach winning.
No, you start winning once your players understand that they belong and they can compete at that level and they believe in themselves. And then all of a sudden, when they all start thinking like that, that's when you start winning. And you feel like you go to the ballpark every day, you're going to win.
That's true.
And you don't doubt that.
Yeah, you want to get to the ballpark then.
Certainly a different attitude and a big change over the last decade for the Brewers. 1-2 the count. Davis has put himself in a hole again. And he misses high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Did you ever have a time in your career where you felt that the plate was dancing a bit and you just couldn't find the strike zone for whatever reason?
You being a pitcher too, you know this. There's some of those things. It might be mechanics, but it's confidence. Like a 3-foot putt, you just have to work hard and get through it.
He got through it, folks. Kenny Sanders joining us in the booth. What a treat it was. One of the original Brewers, one of the great Brewers relievers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, man.
Kenny Sanders. More after this.
Thank you, buddy.
Through 5, Doug Davis had 100 pitches, and his batting spot due up second. Ned Yost coming down and either checking on how Doug is doing or letting him know he may not be pitching on in this ballgame. We'll see as the inning proceeds.
I think one of the things that Ned and Mike Maddox are thinking about is his last outing at San Diego, where he threw 127 pitches. That's a big pitch count, and you don't want to go too deep. You don't want to have back-to-back games with too many pitches. That'll wear you out.
For now, Davis gets in the on-deck circle. Pedro, a little bit of a side wheel, got under that one. 1-1 the count on Brady Clark. Martinez, 4 innings of work, under 70 pitches. 3 earned runs allowed on the home run by Damian Miller. He struck out 5. Davis has struck out 5. And 1-2 the count. Right now, no helmet, no bat for that man, but a batting glove. As Gabe Gross looks on, Jeff Cirillo could be an option as well.
Now, we always talk about the bullpen and, how guys down in the bullpen prepare themselves as the game goes on. Different pitchers think about getting ready. It's the same thing with the guys on the bench. Jeff Cirillo, Gabe Gross, and J.J. Hardy on the bench today. When the pitcher spot, is due up, the team is in the field, and those guys start getting ready. They might ride the bike a little bit, hit off the tee, underneath the stands. And if they get called, they're ready to go. It's not a surprise to them.
But they can wait a minute. Doug Davis is staying in this game, so I would imagine that conversation is Ned coming down and saying, "Are you all right? Do you feel good? Do you feel strong?" And Bill, maybe he told him, if we get a runner on out there, we might pinch hit for you. But they do move around in that bullpen regardless.
One thing to remember, whether you think Doug Davis has struggled mightily or not throughout the season, he's got that 5.32 earned run average. The Brewers are 6-2 in his first 8 starts. I mean, they've been doing a lot of winning with Doug Davis out there in the mound. And isn't what it all comes down to, right? Wins and losses.
Well, certainly, and he doesn't have much to show for it, but nothing new for Davis. He's just 2-2. I guess you'd call that effectively wild. A variation of it anyway, as Davis goes down on strikes.
And it's time for today's Tavern of the Game winner, and it's Marins O'Grady's in Madison. If the Tavern contact calls the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, 414-902-4572. They'll get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. It's offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Mitch Reagans always does such a nice job, our director, of finding someone enjoying an adult beverage when you read that copy, which is really hard to do at a baseball game. 1-0 with a count on Ricky Weeks.
Is it Mitch Reagan again?
Well, Mitch Rosen, my apologies. Ricky toward left center field. Beltran looks up, gone. number 3 on the season, and his second in as many days. Here come the long balls, folks.
Yeah.
And they may roll like an avalanche for Ricky Weeks.
It'd be nice to start seeing Ricky Weeks get into one of those hot streaks. That was a changeup, and Pedro Martinez knew it as soon as he let it go. He was watching Ricky to see his reaction. Did you see him? He threw that ball. Ricky swung the bat. Pedro didn't even turn around. He was watching how Ricky Weeks was going to be reacting to that home run. And as he always does, he puts his head down and runs hard to first base. Pitchers know it, don't they, when they give up a homer?
Yeah, they certainly do.
They don't have to look.
Hall fouls it back to the screen. Pedro has now given up 8 this season, 2 in this ball game, and you can see 5 in his 3 career starts against Milwaukee. And Hall goes down on strikes, but Ricky Weeks puts the Brewers up by a pair, I should say.
Remaining very stubborn. He'd rather walk a batter than throw one down the middle and get hurt with a long ball.
And that pitch is high. I guess you could say for Pedro as well that the walks have been somewhat of a problem, because just prior to the Miller home run, he walked Fielder and Koski. And that's a huge part of this game.
You know, there have been some pitchers, and not too distant past. I mean, Tom Glavine, a New York Mets pitcher, is a guy that always has been known as a very stubborn left-hander that would rather, throw a pitch off the strike zone and walk a batter as opposed to giving up the home run. Pete Vukovich was a lot like that. I mean, he would very rarely give in on a 2-0, 3-1 count. He'd rather walk you and then start over with the next batter. That stuff catches up to you sooner or later, though.
Both teams have those 3 hits, and walks certainly have been the story for both pitchers at some point this afternoon. Right back through the box, and a base hit for Castro. He's reached twice today, and he has flied to right.
On Saturday, May 20th, the first 10,000 kids 16 and under get a Chris Capuano mini bobblehead, compliments of Century Foods. Call 414-902-4000 for information on Chris Capuano mini bobblehead day. We haven't seen one yet, have we?
No, we haven't. Ned Yost had that discussion with Doug Davis. We showed it prior to the last break. Over 100 pitches pretty comfortably at 104. And Yost has seen enough. Davis has done our U.S. Cellular call to the bullpen as Davis and the Brewers lead it by a score of 4-2. Ned Yost down to speak with Doug Davis, thanking him for his efforts. It was certainly a labor again this afternoon for Davis with those 5 walks, but Bill, he only allowed 2 and his club is up.
Well, and he was able to get himself on and off the hook. I mean, it's been kind of a theme for Doug so far this year. 5 walks, only 4 base hits. A couple of walks scored in the second inning. Other than that, the other ones have been stranded. That doesn't happen much.
Funny when you talk about those 5 walks as fireballer Jose Capion comes on. And you can compare the stubbornness of Davis to Tom Glavine, which is certainly comparable, although Davis much younger in his pursuit of history, as that one is high and away to Ballantine, 1-0. Tom Glavine in his big league career has walked 5 or more 55 times, and it's never been a good thing, because in those 55 games he is 13-24. So you have to be stubborn if you're those 2 guys, Bill, but you can be stubborn to a fault. Popped up, Miller puts it away. Nice job.
There are times where he's always stubborn, but the thing is that most of the time he's got pinpoint control and remains stubborn. When he doesn't have as good command, he can't waver from that, that way of thinking. So, he's thinking about the outside corner, misses it. And again, in those situations where he doesn't have as good control, he's going to walk batters. He's not going to change anything. Just because he's behind in the count, he doesn't feel as though he can hit his spots, he's not going to throw a cookie down the middle and get beat with a home run.
And it's an interesting study then when you talk about those 2 pitchers. Pedro squaring the bunt, and he takes a little bit low. Good fastball. Jose Capion certainly is getting his efforts together, and a guy that's become a very formidable member of this bullpen.
Yeah, bullpen's starting to come together pretty nicely now that Dan Kolb is back and throwing well.
Bunted right side. Prince Fielder will tag out Pedro Martinez. The other night, as we have our voices of the game and go down into the dugout or in the bullpen, his boss, pitching coach Wemo, Bill Castro, talked about the year for Jose Capion.
Well, he's a kid that has a lot of talent. And he's a kid that was a starting pitcher in the minor leagues, and he learned to pitch on the big league level at the bullpen, which is not easy for a young guy like him pitching late in the game like that. Well, he's getting better.
Well, the key, and I think why Capion is so successful, I mean, he's not a guy that's going to be able to get through the lineup 2 or 3 times like a starting pitcher has to, because he really only has the 2 pitches, the fastball and the slider. Hitters start catching up to that after 2 or 3 times through the order. So I think more suited to come out of the bullpen and face a batting order once.
I want to know the count on Jose Reyes. For Doug Davis to finish the thought, this is the 17th time in his career that he's had a big league start and walked 5 or more. 3 of those 17 have occurred this season. And amazingly enough, his team in those starts 8-8.
Keep in mind, he walked 5, but he's still the pitcher of record. Could pick up a win if the bullpen's able to get it done. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter if you walk 10. If you get a win, I think you got to feel good.
2-1 the count. Capion threw 2 beautifully executed scoreless innings. Friday night against the New York Mets. The first inning, they were hitting him right at him. The second inning, he was sitting him down. 2-2 the count.
And nice having a guy like Capion out in that pen and can suck up 2 innings. You saw his last 3 appearances, very good. 2 innings, 1 inning, 2 innings. We'll see what he gets here today. But outstanding work for Jose Capion. On Friday, gave up a couple of hits, but did not allow a run.
7 times this year, he has thrown more than 1 inning. And that one is lifted foul.
And when you think about it, Danny Cole's really a 1-inning guy. Matty Wise has a tendency to struggle in his second inning of work. Derek Turnbull, 1 inning. If De La Rosa is able to iron out his issues, he could be a 2 or 3 inning guy.
High pop, back of short. Bill Hall under it. And he does it again. Capion gets his partner Doug Davis right out of it. And the Brewers move along with the lead. Starting things off next weekend, the interleague play begins. Fox Saturday Baseball is right around the corner. 1-0 the count on Jeff Jenkins. Struck out, popped out. Pedro still shy of 90 pitches as that one nips the outside corner. 1-1 the count.
Yeah, the Twins are playing some pretty good baseball this week. They won 4 in a row. Creeping up there in the standings in the American League Central Division. 6.5 games behind the White Sox right now.
I think early in the season, when you think about the Twins, Radke, and the struggles from their starting pitching, you had to think that if Johan and Brad Radke could get it together, they'd be just fine. I mean, it's not like either one of those guys to scuffle as mightily as they did. That's almost like having them injured, having them ineffective as they were.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, those are 2 tough pitchers. Santana, Cy Young Award winner a couple of years ago. And they have had a tough road to hoe. I mean, 5.45 team earned run average. Really not hitting the ball that well.
Tough breaking ball sends Jenkins back to the dugout. And the young man who wanted the homer from Jeff will have to wait for yet another at bat. You still may get it, partner, but on hit pitches like this, it's tough for anyone.
Well, that backdoor slider is a pitch that Pedro Martinez is used very effectively today, as he always does. You look fastball, you start looking inside for the heat. He'll throw that slider backdoor you, and you have no chance.
That is pop foul. 0-2 the count on Carlos Lee. Carlos, he popped to short and lined to center. Remember, homered against Pedro last year, and a lot of action against him in his career. The 0-2 popped him up. Let's see who wants it. Matsui back, Beltran in, and it is Kaz Matsui for the second out. You folks remember a couple of years ago, game 2 of that American League Championship Series, Pedro pitching for Boston, and the "Who's Your Daddy" chants from the stands of Yankee Stadium. It was something he actually embraced. He had a great quote right after it when he said, "I actually realized that I was somebody important because I caught the attention of 60,000 people, the media, and the whole world watching. If you reverse the time back 15 years ago, I was sitting under a mango tree without 50 cents to pay for a bus ride, and today I was the center and attention of the whole city of New York."
That's a good way to look at it, huh?
Put it in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, put a positive spin on everything.
Standing about 5'10", 175 pounds. And a guy who, with that body size, has put together a Hall of Fame caliber career.
Yeah, the city of New York has brought many a man to its knees, hasn't it? I mean, some guys just flat can't play there.
Looked like a little cutter. 1-2 the count.
Yeah, right down the middle. You can't look for too many of those with Pedro. That one surprised Prince. That's the same location that he had a couple of home runs on Friday.
Two and two the count. We talked about him taking a peek at Ricky Weeks, how he reacted to the homer. Pedro said at one point, "I look for everything, attitudes, frustrations, weakness. I look for everything I can look for to learn. Sometimes you can see with just one pitch, you can frustrate the whole game." Got him with a breaking ball, and I would imagine that is frustrating as he takes a peek to the reaction of Prince Fielder. 1, 2, 3 go the Brewers, but those Brewers leading Pedro by a score of 4-2.
Kind of a crazy thing. He mentioned to us about a week ago, he said, "I feel a lot better when I'm playing every day. If I get a day off, I come to the ballpark, he's a bit stiff. So keep him in there."
And that's what they'll do. And it is paying dividends. Kaz Matsui ahead in the count 2-0. The lefty Brian Schaus is warming. Dan Kolb as well. Got a lower arm angle out there, the left hand.
Yeah, that's what we were told. Talking to Doug Melvin before the ball game, kind of has a frisbee type slider. That low arm angle makes it very tough on left-handed hitters. That's why they got him.
Pleasantries are over with. It's time to go to work. The greetings and the welcome, and here's your locker. And I think players like that when they get acquired by a new team. There's no better way to get to know your teammates than by playing with them.
Yeah, you don't want to sit down there in that bullpen for about a week.
Matsui tried to pull that one, ended up topping it. And he is erased.
Nice job, Jose Capion, down 3-0 and coming back with a couple of strikes. Don't want to be walking batters this point in the ball game. This is an explosive offensive club, the New York Mets. Again, third in the National League in homers. Make them work their way on. You give them a walk and then somebody hits one out and it's a tie game.
It'll be interesting if, in fact, with Carlos Delgado on deck, if Ned Yost goes with the left-hander. He's got a new toy, for lack of better words. And maybe if Beltran reaches, he certainly does.
Yeah, because if you're going to use him, it's going to be against a guy like Delgado, because all the other left-handed hitters in the lineup are switch hitters. They can just switch around and go to the other side. So really only one true left-hander in the lineup today.
Two and one the count. Very good crowd again today. 28,104. And a weekend series that drew 99,616 fans. Right over the top of it. 2-2 the count.
Oh, that's a nice pitch. Good velocity on it, going straight down. Right over the top was Beltran on that slider. Not much of a break, but very late and sharp.
Good fastball, a bit low. 3-2 the count. Yeah, good to see you folks coming in mass this weekend. Obviously last night a big night, bobblehead night, but nice to see nearly 30,000 on the other two. High pop isn't playable though. Hope to see you this week as well against the Philadelphia Phillies. Next weekend against the Minnesota Twins. He lost him. Let's see what Yost does.
Got to get him here. If you're not going to use him now, you're not going to ever be able to use him.
Well, Ned, as we said, now a different look to that arsenal thanks to Doug Melvin, who acquired that left-handed specialist. Looks like he's going to get him. So Ron Schaus was acquired yesterday.
And throw a sinking fastball and a slider. One of those guys that I'm sure Ned Yost is going to use for lefties and lefties only. That's why the Brewers have activity. Dan Kolb down in that bullpen.
Kansas City, Texas, Pittsburgh in the big leagues for this left-hander. And has always handled left-handed hitters. First pitch, just a bit off the plate, 1-0. In his career, lefties hit .218 against him in 403 at-bats. Righties 314. I mean, those numbers tell you left-handed specialist, basically. Bit high and away. That didn't miss either by much.
Man. That has been a relatively small strike zone today for Ted Barrett. I mean, did it miss high?
If anything, that meant the first pitch needed to be a strike, but nonetheless, it's 2-0. He throws a strike, 2 balls and 1 strike. And boy, he has to look, Bill, when he comes at you like he's throwing it right at your back.
And again, that slider's going to start right at your hip if you're a left-handed hitter. Got to stay in there. Drive him to the opposite field. Tendency is for a left-hander with an angle like that, pull the shoulder off. That's what Schaus wants you to do, and then stay away.
Born in Effingham, Illinois. Pirates number 13 pick back in 1990 out of Bradley University. Have left arm will travel, has pitched in cities from Welland to Salem to Carolina to New Orleans to Kanetsu, Japan throughout his career. And he drives the runner back to the bag just in case. Was even with the Mets organization for a brief time. The 2-2 pitch. He hangs in there. The runner was going.
Pretty good slider that time from Schaus. He pitched down and out away from Delgado. Did a nice job spoiling it. Now, Delgado, we've seen so far this year, is a guy that can go to the opposite field against left-handers. You can see how difficult it is for left-handers to stay honest, keep that front shoulder closed. That was a tough pitch.
On one hop out to Weeks. He cannot make the play. So he did his job tying him up. And Ricky with a miscue. That's an error on the second baseman, Ricky Weeks.
Now that one had some funny spin on it, and Ricky Weeks charged it a bit too much and went right off the heel of the glove, and that's a big miscue, as you talked about. Schaus did his job, little spin on it, and Ricky tried to smother it, couldn't do it. You can't give these guys extra outs, and that's what the Brewers are doing in this inning.
So now you go to ground ball specialist and a guy who's having a fine season, Dan Kolb. You know he's getting healthier, Bill, because he's working more frequently over the last week and a half.
Yeah, and that's good to see. And again, as we talked about, the health of Dan Kolb has really helped that bullpen for the Brewers, and everybody all of a sudden has their role defined, which makes it a lot more comfortable down there. Last pitched on Friday night against the Mets. Had a tough outing, gave up a couple of runs and allowed Derek Turnbow to pick up a save, but still in all, throwing the baseball extremely well.
So 1 out, a 4-2 game. And you can tell right away as you watch this game that you may see a few more pitching moves from manager Ned Yost now. And it's nice to have a left-handed specialist. 0-1 to count on David Wright. Talk about Danny, he is good for about every other outing, getting a double play ground ball. This would be perfect here. Pitch misses low and in, 1-1.
Yeah, tough customer up there at the plate. I mean, this guy is a tough out. He will draw a walk. He's got an on-base percentage just short of .390, so he's got a good understanding of the strike zone. You have to throw him strikes.
One and two the count. I think Wright thought that was high.
Not sure why that's a strike, and the pitch that Schaus threw to Delgado wasn't a strike.
Isn't that the truth?
I guess the reputation of the pitcher might have something to do with it. That ball at the letters, that's not a strike.
Nothing Wright can do with it either. Go back up there, he'll swing at it now. And on his hands and very late on it. The inning extended and the situation gets tougher because of that miscue by Ricky. He now has 12 errors this season, more than any player in Major League Baseball. And it's just part of the growing pains, I would imagine.
Well, it's certainly not a ball that I think Ricky was thinking about a double play. You're not going to turn two on that play. He just mishandled it.
Get that ground ball. He went up. Let's see if it's playable. And he's been up the last few times. He's got that run in, but it's up.
That's normally not what Dan tries to do. He tries to get that ball, beat it into the ground, and get that double play ball. If you're going to throw upstairs like that, you better have something on it. A lot of times when a sinker baller throws up like that, it straightens out quite a bit.
Lined into right field, a base hit. Jenkins over, and he runs right by it. One run is in. The throw to the plate, not in time. We are tied. Two huge errors in this inning, and it's a tie ball game.
As we talked about the fact that David Wright is a very tough out, and one of the reasons he swings at strikes and he uses the whole field. I mean, he had a rocket into right field. I'm not sure if Jenkins just didn't get there, or the ball took a hop, or the fact that he was trying to throw it before he got it. And that'll be either a double or a single and an error for the Brewers. And now we're back to even. You give them extra outs, they're going to hurt you. Particularly a team like the Mets. I mean, these guys aren't 23 and 13 for nothing. They jump all over mistakes.
That is ruled a double. And 2 RBIs. I respectfully disagree with that.
No, whether it's a double or not, it's 2 runs. I mean, that's the main thing.
I think the key is to always go to the player, and I would imagine Jeff Jenkins will tell you, I should have got to that baseball.
Well, he got to it, just didn't get the glove down in time, and went right under the glove. And certainly if Jenkins was able to knock it down at least, they wouldn't have scored the second run.
4-4 game.
Well, Jenkins trying to get over. You saw the ball, it stayed down. Not sure if Jenkins was trying to be a little bit too quick with the glove and make the throw to try and cut down a base runner, but that ball went right under the glove, and that scored a double.
So Danny will attempt to get another ground ball and attempt to get out of this inning. Oh, good breaking ball. The first one he's thrown, and a huge strikeout. Oh, so much better than a ground ball.
Now, if you're going to save a slider, this is a good guy to throw it to because he's a dead fastball hitter. Big high leg kick, a lot of movement in that swing, and he just can't make contact on a good breaking ball away from him. Saw Capion strike him out on Friday night on 3 very good sliders, and Danny got him with one that time.
Here's Ramon Castro. On the black, good pitch.
And that's more like Dan Kolb. I mean, the pitches that he was throwing to David Wright were up in the zone. That's why he was able to hit that ball hard into right field. You're not going to do much with that last pitch. Down around the knees.
Boom, a slider there. Don't mind missing there either. 1-1 the count. Davis, Capion, Schaus, and Kolb in a game that is tied 4-4. One and two, the count, a walk, a miscue. However you want to view it, a two-baser for David Wright, the story in this inning. So as you mentioned, free chances definitely handed out to one of the National League's best teams. Let's see if they can end it right now. A little bit low, good heavy sink though, 2-2. The 2-2. Little chopper. Koski charges, avoids the base runner, and converts. All right, the Brewers have some work to do. We're tied at 4. Let's go swinging, boys. As far as official stats go, that is now a single and an error on Jenks.
That little bookkeeping changes things a little bit. The Brewers, defense is tagged with another error, 2 in the inning, and certainly one of those runs are unearned.
You can see Jeff talking about it, being asked by someone, saying the ball just took off on me as he talks it over with Gabe Gross. But Jenkins said it's 4 errors this year.
And sometimes when a player, an outfielder, goes after a ball like that, he knows he's going to have a play somewhere, and he's thinking about his throw and putting himself in position to throw before he actually has the ball in his glove.
The day for Pedro Martinez, and suddenly this game looks very different now that it's tied at 4-4 for the right-hander. Just 3 hits allowed, just 2 walks. Big noise with those hits, though, because they have been homers. Here's a look at his day.
Pedro Martinez has been on the corners and good backdoor breaking balls. The only mistakes he's made have been 2. Gave up that home run to Damian Miller in the 2nd inning and a solo shot to Ricky Weeks. He's only walked 2, and the Brewers have been able to plate both of those. A typical Pedro Martinez day.
With Corey on a breaking ball, high and deep into the upper deck, but foul. I don't mean the 2nd or the 3rd, but the 4th deck.
Don't see too many up there. Yeah, you don't come to the ballpark and you sit up here and expect to catch a foul ball. That's a long way.
Yeah, you don't, do you?
No.
You don't really think to bring your glove when you're sitting up there, do you? They say we had a shot.
Sometimes you get surprised, though, here at the ballpark. Oh, just missed it.
1-2 the count. Oh, what might have been. Our producer John Walsh just made a great point. He said those kids will be talking about that one shot all week.
Don't see any mothers in that crowd. I mean, I think that might be one of those, mom gets the afternoon off.
Yes. I think that's the mom gets the afternoon off section.
Yeah, there you go.
Daughters and sons and dads, but no moms. Mom is on a couch, sound asleep, enjoying the peace and quiet right now. Got it. Changed up on him there, it looked like.
What's that, 10 for Pedro?
That is 10.
Well, he can add to that double-digit record that he's got going, right? He's 4th all-time.
107 times in his career he has gone into double digits. Funny you should bring it up. They're ready for you in the truck.
Well, Roger Clemens, I'm sure, is going to be coming back at some point in the next few weeks. My guess is he stays with that hat that he's got on in that graphic, that Astros hat.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Damian Miller, white hot.
What's new? Another base hit for Damian Miller. He adds on to his .333 batting average. Almost at 400 on his on-base percentage. Off to a great start. There it is, a slider. Pedro's been hammering him with sliders in this game. Damian with a couple of base hits, including that 3-run home run. He's all over that pitch today. There you see him, able to cover the entire plate just on the outside corner. Able to muscle it off the end of the bat into center field.
And Damian said Mom Nancy would be looking on this afternoon. So we wanted to wish her a happy Mother's Day. That was a nice present he got you, Mom, that 3-run homer. A key point in this game back in the 2nd inning. Little chopper. This could be 2. There's one. Hard slide, but it's a double play.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse. The New York Mets have stranded 9 base runners today. And right now they're 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The Brewers pitching has been able to get it done when they've had to for the most part. Brewers, on the other hand, have only had 1 man stranded all day long. Not a whole lot going on the bases for Milwaukee except for those homers.
Matt Wise misses high. Matt wanted to send out Mother's Day wishes to his mom, Sue, who he thought would be looking on this afternoon. Change up a dandy.
That's how you have to approach Jose Valentin. He likes the fastball, as we talked about. He'll turn around anybody's heater. Give him that changeup, and he has trouble.
He gave him a fastball, and he turned it right around.
I mean, you can't throw the ball too hard for Jose Valentin. He likes it, particularly batting left-handed. Right on it.
This is Endy Chavez now. He will pinch hit.
Valentin heating up a little bit. We mentioned he had a home run last night. He's got 3 hits today. Turning around that Matt Wise fastball in the inner half of the plate.
Boy, just because of circumstances, Matty hasn't pitched in 9 days.
Long time, huh? That right?
And there you see the numbers for Pedro Martinez. According to Stats Inc. it is. 3rd of an inning on May 5th against the Dodgers in LA, and allowed the walk-off hit by Nomar Garcia-Parra. A tough break because he was way out front of a changeup. Three times in the month of May, and it's May 14th. Speedy Chavez drops the bunt down. A sac bunt, a successful one, and a nice job. You think back at the ball games, Bill. I mean, there certainly are situations where he could have pitched, but not many of them. I mean, the San Diego losses, the blowout to leave Dodger Stadium. They lost 3-0 to Park. They lost essentially 8-0 to Peavy, though they scored 5 unanswered runs. Maybe possibly game 1 of this series, and then a loss yesterday of 9-8, where I'm sure he was a part of the mix, but just never got in.
Well, these are the opportunities or the chances that Ned Yost tries to save Matt Wise, and maybe a 1 or 2 run lead, tie ball game, bring in one of your better guys in that bullpen. Hopefully keep the opposition off the board and get the offense going. Set it up for that guy.
He wants another shot. You know that. Changeup misses Wise to Jose White, I should say, to Jose Reyes. De La Rosa grabs the baseball. Popped him up. Wise will go cover the bag at third. Koski will swap places with him. If you listen there, you can see the role of a pitcher. Points the ball out, up in the air, and a lot of times will help direct traffic and then go somewhere. I mean, he went to third immediately.
Yeah, has a place to be all the time. Now, if you want to watch, buy a ticket. Matt Wise directing traffic. He's showing Damian Miller, who's just praying that either Koski or Prince calls him off. That's a tough play for a catcher, but Corey right there to make the catch.
So here's Kaz Matsui. Matt trying to work out of it, leave that runner in scoring position. Matsui today is single in 4 at-bats. Will make it 4 plate appearances. He's also walked. Change up a hard one there. Misses low. 1-0 the count. The count. Left-handers this year hitting just 200 against Matty. Righties 286. That changeup is what makes him so tough to lefties.
Yeah, the way that thing tails away, down and away from a left-handed hitter. It's much more effective against lefties, although it's a pretty good pitch to right-handers too.
Juaner Sanchez, the center of controversy yesterday, surrendered a couple of home runs to the Brew Crew and then plunked Brady Clark. It's 3-1. Willie Randolph ejected. I mean, you can see Willie Randolph's point. See the umpire side of it too, but basically making the point there was no warning. Just threw my pitcher right out. Change up, it's 3-2.
I tell you, 3-1. Matsui sitting dead red, looking for the fastball, and Matt Wise pulls a string on him way out in front. He goes down on the knee after that swing. Probably going to get another one.
I was waiting for your call. Let's see what happens. The 3-2 pitch. Changeup rolled out toward third. Corey Koski got it. Time to swing the bats, boys.
Don't have to take them out in the rain.
No, they live in rain. Strike 1 to pinch hitter Gabe Gross. He's done good work. He's a guy that similar stuff to Pedro in a way. Younger Pedro, good change, good fastball.
Good sinking fastball. I mean, dating back to 2005, he had a stretch of 24 consecutive scoreless innings. Kind of a guy that you don't hear a whole lot about, but very effective. Throws a lot of strikes. Very aggressive in that strike zone. Gets a lot of grounders.
Gabe Gross 6 pinch hits, 3 pinch home runs, 10 RBIs as a pinch hitter. All 3 of those categories, he leads all Major League pinch hitters. A little bit high with that breaking ball, 1-2 the count. Now he has struggled a bit of late, trying to get it back on track. I asked him yesterday, we went to a luncheon together, and I said in front of the group, how tough is this big league pinch hitting? He said, I thought it was easy the first 2 weeks, now I don't. He said, I realize how challenging it is. And he kiddingly said he thought it was easy. He respected the success he was having, but he has learned that they quickly figure you out and make adjustments.
Well, it's amazing the start that he did have. I mean, you can talk about adjustments all you want, but I mean, he was putting some pretty good swings on the baseball. But you're right. I mean, the word does travel very quickly around Major League Baseball as to how to get people out and what certain hitters like to do up there at the plate. You can't trick them for long.
Hitless in his last 9 at-bats and 2 for his last 24. Be good to see him get it going once again.
Yeah, that's what this game is. It's all about adjustments. The pitching is going to adjust to you. You have to adjust to the pitching.
Dave Gross into right field. Diving attempt. Did he hang on? Unable to do so. Gabe Gross with a pinch hit. Good to see.
There's a good start to the inning. Now you get the top of the order coming up. Good off-speed pitch from Sanchez, but Gabe Gross able to keep the bat in the hitting zone a long time. Out in front a little bit, off the end of the bat, and Xavier Nady smothers it. A leadoff base hit for the Brewers. Haven't seen too many of those today. Matter of fact, that's the first. That's the first inning. This is the first inning the Brewers have had their leadoff hitter on.
For Gross, his Major League leading 7th pinch hit of the year. When you think about that, that still is an astounding number. A month and a half into the season to have 7 pinch hits.
No doubt. I mean, he's turned into a very good pinch hitter. Good eye at the plate. He'll walk. And he's got some speed.
Ricky Weeks, not only does he have speed, Bill, but earlier he showed us power.
Yeah, I mean, he got a fastball away from Pedro Martinez and able to knock it out of here in center field. Gave the Brewers a 4-2 lead.
A 4-4 game. Billy Hall waits on deck. Very close. You were sharing a few thoughts you had with Gross about the speed that he has.
I'm going to say, it's not only do you have a guy that can hit up there as a pinch hitter, but he can run a little bit. I mean, not a guy that you think is going to steal a base, but he can certainly go first to third on a single.
And that's what they hope happens. They'll move him up. Ricky runs well. You better field it clean, and they don't. That was an ugly play.
Yes, it was. A little nonchalant from Carlos Delgado. We've seen that from him in the 6 games that we've seen the Mets. That'll go down as a sacrifice for Ricky Weeks and an error on Delgado at first. Just flat dropped it, a little too nonchalant. And now you figure Bill Hall's going to be up there to bunt. Boy, a big break for the Brewers. Got to cash in here.
Billy Hall with 1 sacrifice this year. Mets certainly looking for it. They're in on the corners. They pinch the middle on the infield. And the bunt defense in play. He takes wide.
And try and bunt this ball toward third base to make David Wright leave the bag, pick it up, and make a throw to first base.
He's had a tough day with his mom Virgie looking on. Maybe that pink bat will help him, give him a little bit of a touch to get that bunt down. Outside, 2-0.
How do you keep the bunt on here?
You tell me.
That's why he's the manager. That's why he gets paid big money to make these calls. I mean, you got the infield expecting the bunt. They're in at the corners. They're moving around in the infield. You've got a guy that can hit the ball hard. Up there, do you give him one shot?
Let's see. They can grow from little boys to big boys, but you're still just as nervous looking on, I would imagine. Billy's mom, Virgie, looking on. On 2-0, they're looking for the bunt. He squares, and he bunts it right out in front of home plate. In time, he gets it done, a sacrifice bunt. And
nice
Jeff
job.
Jenkins now with the opportunity. Let's listen.
Jenkins.
Got a chance to come up big, Bill. Friday night, he certainly did.
Yeah, nice at bat. He worked his count to 3-1. He got a fastball down and away from and cleared the bases with a double to center. Well, with one out in second and third, first base open, they're going to pitch to him.
And the infield is drawn in.
Well, they have to. And you got Derek Turnbow down there in the bullpen. I mean, this is one of those all or nothing type deals, and you know, in ordinary circumstances, you would walk Jenkins to load the bases, but not with Carlos Lee on deck.
One and one to count. Jeff Jenkins with runners in scoring position, hitting .250 this year. Had the decisive hit, as we showed you, with the bases loaded, as the Brewers won Game 1 in this series.
That strike zone has been very small today. Good take from Jenkins. You're not going to swing at that pitch, but it wasn't off the plate by too much. Well, that changes the complexion of this at bat, huh? I mean, it's off the plate, but not much.
2-1 the count. Outside, it's 3-1. He obviously pitched carefully here, but if you do, you lose Jenkins. Carlos Lee waits, and you've got to throw him strikes. The bases are loaded.
Yep, and they're still not going to put Jenkins on.
Turnbow dying to get back in there. The 3-1. Jeff gives it a ride. Straightaway center field. Beltran going back. He runs it down. Both runners tag. They're going to stop the runner at third. The Milwaukee Brewers lead it 5-4. Jeff Jenkins with a sac fly and an RBI, and this crowd loves it. A little bit of redemption for Jeff, who had that miscue a couple of innings ago.
Well, a nice at bat for Jeff Jenkins. I mean, very patient with runners in scoring position. Got a pitch up out over the plate and hammered it into center field. A nice catch by Carlos Beltran. And Ricky Weeks, if there was any problem with a throw in from the outfield, he was going to score. I mean, he tagged up, and was hauling around third base. Dale Swaim had to about tie a noose around his neck to stop him. Well, that's Ricky Weeks as he's tagging up at second base. He's thinking about scoring. If there's any problem with a throw into the infield, look how hard he's running. And Dale Swaim wheeling him around until the last second. They almost had to hog tie him down there to stop him at third base.
You like the thinking, though. As you mentioned, gets by a cutoff man, kicks around it all anywhere. The Brewers with certainly some little ball, although Jenkins hit that one about 400 feet. 3 straight sacrifices, 2 sac bunts, an error mixed in there, and a sac fly. 1-2 the count.
Now you remember the '82 World Series when Willie McGee scored from second base on a fly ball to Gorman in center field. Gorman caught it against the fence. He tripped, fell down, and Willie able to score.
Carlos deep right center field. Beltran on the run. He's called off out there by Xavier Nady. Derek Turnbow looking to lock it down. Jenkins gives him the lead. Right-hander Derek Turnbow, who has saved 12 of 12 to start the season and 18 of 18 dating back to last September. gets a chance to go to work. He has certainly been looking forward to this chance, as you can see, to start a season. The club record held by Mike Fetters. We talked about it, Bill, how yesterday he came in a tie game, surrendered the homer to Paul LaDuca, not a save situation, and pitchers love nothing better than to go right back to work.
And he's been in all 3 games in this series, hoping to lock down this one tonight or this afternoon, and he's got his work cut out for him. Beltran, Delgado, and David Wright, the heart of this Mets order.
Here we go, never a dull moment. Allowed the 2 hits and the home run yesterday. Derek's ERA still a sparkling 1.88. Opponent's hitting .220 against the fireballer out of Tennessee. Breaking ball, strike 1. Set by Derek yesterday, and I talked about Gabe Gross joining us as well at a fundraiser, a team function. And he sat for 30 minutes and signed autographs, smiled and looked at every child, asked them their name, asked them how they were doing. This is a quality man who is a superstar already for Milwaukee. And does it in Derek's own way.
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, he loves the role that he's in. He loves being successful in this league and very appreciative of it, and doesn't take anything for granted. You love to see that. There's too many athletes, not just baseball, that take their position for granted, and Derek Turnbow is certainly not one of those guys.
Now you summed it up right there. He loves it. And when someone loves what they do, it shows.
And why wouldn't you?
And we mentioned earlier how this morning he, in fact, had already forgotten about it. Greeted those that were coming through the door in the Brewers clubhouse with a smile. The 1-2. Slider is high, 2-2 the count. And you can bet your bottom dollar at that function he was the most popular being in the room. All eyes were on him.
Second to you.
Yeah, I was real close on that list. I just talked the loudest. Two balls and 2 strikes to count. 1 away.
Carlos Beltran has been susceptible to that high heater today, and second time he swung and missed at a pitch out of the zone up around the letters. Here's 86, 87 coming at you. That one not quite as high, but belt high. Derek saying, here it is, hit it. I'm not going to walk you.
Now Carlos Delgado. Popped to short, hit by a pitch, struck out, reached on an error committed by Ricky Weeks. 1-0 the count. He gives it a ride, right center field with something on it. Toward the wall it goes, it bounds over the wall for a ground rule double. Now Derek has some work to do.
There's another guy to get turned around a fastball. That was 97 miles an hour down in his zone, and Delgado with a nice easy swing, finding the gap in right center. Boy, he's got some quick hands, I'll tell you. Much easier to get to a fastball at 97 miles an hour down there than it is upstairs. Just dropped the head of the bat on it and one hop over the fence for a ground rule double. Don't have to swing hard, do you?
No, certainly. And especially that is a great approach against a pitcher like Turnbow.
Well, you get that pitch up about a foot, the one that he threw to Beltran, and you can't get to it. It's tough to get to. One down, a little easier.
David Wright 0 for 2 in career at bats against Derek. A walk and a strikeout. Right down the middle, 0-1. Derek Turnbow's first 45 appearances in the major leagues did not render a single save, but he pitched well, a 3.09 ERA as a reliever. Slider a little bit high. His next 77 have yielded 51 saves in 55 tries and an ERA of 1.6. That's where you want it, but he wouldn't bite.
Now you're getting down to the part of this order after David Wright. You might think about a pinch hitter. You got Cliff Floyd on the bench. Don't forget about Cliff. Paul LaDuca did not start today. And Julio Franco, the ageless one.
Three and one the count. Couple of tugs on that cap, Bill. Derek tries to pull it back together. Struck out Beltran. Delgado double. A little topper. Bill Hall. Got it.
Nice play. I'll tell you, that was a lot tougher than it looked. That ball hit the seam of the grass and stayed down on Billy. Made it a lot tougher.
He took a second look at his glove to make sure he had it.
Yeah, watch it hit the seam of the grass right there and stayed down on Billy, making it a tougher play. And the fact that Wright was way out in front, got a slow break out of the box, that's why they were able to get him.
Xavier Nady just 2 at-bats against Bo. He's 1 for 2. Out of your seats at home. Rolled out, Bill Hall, long throw! No, he did not hold on! Oh, and we are tied! Oh my! What an effort by Bill Hall. What an effort by Prince Fielder, but he couldn't hold it on the one-hop throw.
Well, a terrific effort by Billy Hall. Prince did everything he could to stay on the bag and keep it in the glove, just couldn't do it. That would have been one of the nicest plays you'll ever see. He had it in his glove, but when he hit the ground, it fell out. Initially, the umpire over at first, Laz Diaz, made the out call, but as the glove hit the ground, the ball bounced out, and we're all tied up. Boy, so close yet so far.
Oh,
my goodness, what a play from Billy Hall. My goodness.
And that is Derek's first blown save of the year. Unfortunately for the Brewers closer, comes on a very tough break. An incredible effort there for Bill Hall.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, Prince had it in his glove, but when he hit the ground, it popped loose.
Fly ball, left center field. Somebody come get it. Brady Clark does. He has to leave his feet. A good-looking play. Boy, he had to run an awful long way in front of Carlos Lee to catch that ball, but he did. Tough break for the Brewers. Tough bounce of that first baseman's glove. Spent the money on the gift of Brewers tickets and beer. You better know how to vacuum.
She'll understand, I think, right?
You better know how to do dishes. Ned doesn't like that sign. I don't think Ned cares about that sign much. That was a tough one. That was the reaction, Bill, that we all had right there from Ned. Like, oh, almost got him.
Yeah, what an awesome play from Bill Hall. Tough pick for Prince Fielder. That was one of those in-between hops. He was able to put it in his glove, but little off balance.
Well, it could just be chalked up maybe to a blown save. And that's it. Go ahead, one swing of the bat. Let's win this ball game. Prince Fielder going to work. A strike, a manager bringing in a left-hander to face Prince Fielder in Feliciano. When opposing managers have brought left-handed pitchers from the bullpen, that has occurred 10 times this year. Prince is 5 for 9 as he waves there with a pair of home runs and a walk.
How about that note?
You love that note.
I mean, that's the best note I've ever heard, ever read in any notes. I mean, for the media department for the Brewers to dig that one up, that takes some work. That one just doesn't jump out at you. Mike Vasallo and Nicole Sanchez and John Steinmiller doing a nice job.
Nice job, you three.
There they are right there. Yeah. Hard-working group.
And they're wondering why they're on television.
Why are they circling us?
The 1-2. Well, you knew a lefty would get him sometime, and a tough one. He made perfect pitches. That still is an astounding record of success against lefties, though, for a rookie. So we talked about in the open, Bill, and there's a reason for that success.
Well, he changes the approach completely when there's a left-handed pitcher out there. I mean, those were just some pretty good pitches. Feliciano keeping the ball down, keeping it away. That time, Prince got caught trying to pull. But he hasn't done that too much so far this year.
Here's Corey Koski. No balls and 1 strike to count on the Brewers' third baseman. Walked and scored in front of Damien's home run back in the second. Doubled in the fourth and struck out. Damien waits on deck. The hottest of all Brewers hitters. So Derek Turnbow's streak of consecutive saves dating back to last year snapped at 18 this year. 12 in a row to start the season.
But Mike Fetter's record safe for now.
Mike is safe. Until
another year, perhaps.
With Derek around for the next few years, for sure, he'll be giving it a lot of good hard looks. Well, he's done a lot for you boys. Go ahead and get him a win. 5-5 game. Koski right off the end of the bat. It's kicked. Can he recover? No. There's your winning run. This ball game has been chock full of miscues that have, I think, all of them have had an impact on the score.
Well, let's hope that one does there. That's the 7th error committed by David Wright over at third base. If I'm not mistaken, he had a 2-error inning earlier this year. And the Brewers' winning run at first base.
Probably have a new right fielder, new pitcher as well. Willie Randolph ready to go. And he has made the call to the bullpen. 5-5 game, more after this. Well, glad to have you back at Miller Park. That little diamond on your screen that is shaded yellow would be the winning run in the form of Corey Koski reached on an error. Chad Bradford gets the baseball, sidewheeler, and I mean low sidewheeler. He's not in the first floor, he's in the basement.
Yeah, tough on right-handed hitters. You got Damian Brady, a pinch hitter, and then 2 right-handers, and Ricky Weeks and Bill Hall. That's why Bradford's in the ball game. Kind of a guy that can pitch a lot. Has not allowed a home run. Guy that's going to throw a lot of strikes, 3 walks and 15 strikeouts. Got to think right field. Not a better guy to have at the plate if you have to hit the ball to right than Damian Miller.
Cliff Floyd is in left, and in right field where you want Damian to hit it resides Jose Valentin now. Pitcher spot now number 6 in the order. Cliff Floyd batting 9th, due up 2nd should there be a 10th inning. Brewers hope there won't be. Damian 2 for 3 with that huge 3-run homer in the 2nd inning. Well, that looked like it took 3 days to get to the plate.
Yes, it did. Another slider. Bradford put one in the inner half of the plate. That's not where he wanted it. That ball actually acts like it's a yo-yo out there. He's got a string on it. A little frisbee slider. You can see where he had knuckles scraping on that dirt.
Again, slow, spinning, hovering slider, 0-2. I mean, no offense when I say that, folks. I mean, there's a lot of deception in doing what he does.
see where that release point is. Not too many guys throw it from down there. That's what makes it so tough to hit. Not used to seeing that kind of a delivery.
Bradford and Miller have never met up in a big league game. Same being said about Brady Clark, who waits in the on-deck circle. See if he can dump one into right field. Oh, that is a tough pitch to lay back on. I tell you.
And once you sit there and look for that pitch, then he's going to throw one of those sinking fastballs in on your knuckles and break your bat in half.
Lefties 308 against him. Righties 289 this year, so they've hit him. That's that pitch you're talking about.
Yeah, didn't miss by much either. Those corners have been very tight for Ted Barrett today. But you know, ordinarily when we get that high home camera, he's been right. You can see about 6 inches from scraping his knuckles on the mound. That'll give you some movement.
Two and two the count. 10 appearances in April for the right-hander, a 2.35 ERA. In May, not so good. 6 appearances, 7.71. No surprise, has yet to give up a homer this year. We'll do it again with a 2-2 count. On May 14th, Damian Miller hitting .387 this month. Runner goes, 2-2 rolled out toward third. Another chance for Wright. He converts this time. At least they managed to move the runner up. Although it was hit so slowly, I think they would have anyway.
Well, they wouldn't have got a double play, but they probably would have had to force out in that situation. So they send the runners on 2 and 2. And you got a guy up there that's, you know, going to make contact for you. Plus the fact that he likes to use right field. Good job, Ned Yost, pushing the button, putting the man in motion. Now a base hit wins it.
And wouldn't it be nice for this man, the man who has had certainly a quiet start, a lot quieter than he expected. Brewers haven't had many opportunities. Again, the story, the home run for Milwaukee. They lead the National League in bombs. Toward right field, hugging the line. Long run for Valentine, and it's in the seats. Though things have gotten a bit better for Brady Clark, he hit just .205 in April. And again, in mid-May, he is hitting .294 this month.
Well, if you're looking for somebody that's going to put the bat on the baseball, Brady Clark, a good guy to have at the plate. The outfield relatively shallow, so Corey's going to have to get a good jump off of second base.
As Bill's talking about, he has walked more than he has struck out. Now you see his MO and you understand it.
They're very shallow in center and very shallow and over toward the line in right. Valentine playing him like a left-handed pull hitter with no power. You see Valentine all the way over by the line, and Beltran very shallow. Cliff Floyd playing about average depth and left.
In on the hands, easy play for the second baseman, Matsu. So Clark can't get it done, and we play on 10th inning after this.
Another third extra inning game from Milwaukee. Brewers undefeated so far this year. Their second win came in the last road trip in San Diego, a 10-inning win against the Padres. They got Trevor Hoffman for a run. J.J. Hardy inserted into the ball game in the double switch at shortstop. Bill Hall, ever versatile, in center.
How about that? So Brady is out of the ball game. JJ will lead off the inning is what that means. And Bill Hall, who's in center, will stay in his spot. He's due up third. Hardy, Weeks, and Hall, the youngsters on this roster, due up next inning. But first, De La Rosa needs to find the strike zone. Good start, 0-1 on Valentin. As mentioned last night, De La Rosa made 13 pretty effective pitches. 1 scoreless inning and 2 strikeouts. Through 2 scoreless innings at San Diego 3 days prior to that with 3 strikeouts. And that one is low.
And that's the key. I mean, we talked about Doug Davis with the walks. When this young man comes in and throws strikes, he can be unhittable. Very important to not walk batters in these situations. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that one out.
That outing on getaway day against the Giants. Still managed to be a Brewers victory over San Francisco, but not a good day for De La Rosa. Didn't retire a single member of that club. 2-2 the count. His fastball, Bill, gets all the way up to 95, but maybe 92, 93 consistently.
Yep, and Jose Valentin, a much less threatening hitter batting right-handed than he is left-handed, particularly when you talk about power.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And back to the screen. We'll do it again. That's a slider, just a little bit high. Throws a slower pitch as well. A different variation on that breaking ball. That one high, though.
Tried to overthrow it just a bit. Tried to get that extra spin on it, that nasty break, and came out of his hand a bit too soon and hung it.
Lined into center field, a base hit. Billy will cut it off, get it back in, and there's the go-ahead run, Jose Valentin. Now part of that double switch an inning ago, Cliff Floyd is called upon.
Jose Valentin came into this series with 7 hits in the first 6-7 weeks of the season. He's got 5 in this series. 4 for 5 today.
Floyd hitting just 197. 3 homers, 14 RBIs. Been a tough year for him. Opens up early on a fastball. And that's another place you wouldn't expect a souvenir. 20 rows up to the upper deck over first base.
Be careful with Jose Valentin. I mean, he can run. He can steal some bases. That's a very good speed at first.
Broke that pink bat, and it is foul. We see that bat that he's using. He's using one of those. He will go to the neutral bat, the regular wood bat now. And no longer can you call him Pink Floyd. It's a good one. It's a good one, Keither.
Yeah, Keith liked it.
Well, he delivered it. I can't take credit for it.
He's a big Bread fan, too.
He sent it through Mr. Rosen in the truck. Breaking ball, got it. There's that stuff we talk about. That's why you keep giving him chances. That's a knee locker.
Yes, indeed. Well, when you get ahead in the count like that, you can throw this pitch and give it your best effort. If you bounce it, so what? The key is to get ahead in the count. 0-1, 0-2, 1-2. And a perfectly located pitch on the outside corner.
Down on the knuckles, Billy squares it up, hauls it in like he was born to play the outfield. 2 outs.
Jose Valentin has had a tough time reading the move for Jorge De La Rosa. I've been watching him. He's been going back, but this is a perfect running situation. Matsui, not a guy that's going to hit too many homers. You know the Mets would like to get him into scoring position. But so far, Valentin just has not been able to read the move of De La Rosa out there.
So key point, obviously, trying to get that runner in scoring position, even to get a big jump for a gapper. Here's Kaz Matsui. Lines it into left field, a base hit. And because of the fact that Valentin had to stay put for a couple of batters, we remain station to station. There's where your point you made a moment ago, Bill, is so huge right there.
Yeah. He's pretty much station to station. When you can't get a jump or you can't read the move of the pitcher, you really can't get a good break, whether it be stealing a base or going from first to third. But on that, you're not going to go first to third anyway. It's hit too hard.
Certainly a dangerous customer, one hitting just 266, but Carlos Beltran. 0 for 4 with a walk and a run scored back in the 7th inning. Homered yesterday against Dana Evelyn. Strike 1. Started him off with a changeup.
Yeah, this is the tough part of this order right now. You have Beltran, Delgado, David Wright. Tough outs.
Overthrew a breaking ball, 1-1 to count. Last 8 games for the 5-tool Beltran, has 4 homers and 10 RBIs in his last 8 games.
Not as much power right-handed, but batting average pretty similar. 280 right-handed, 277 from the left side.
Got him in the hole, 1-2. Well, he's shown him a changeup. Overthrew a curveball, nowhere close, and has thrown him a fastball.
I'd be careful with a fastball for a strike here. Bounce that curveball.
You noted how he was earlier struggling with a high fastball. Let's see if they bounce the breaking ball. Breaking ball, did he? Yes, he did. Good call, partner. And good execution down there by Jorge De La Rosa. Boy, nasty stuff, good stuff. Makes you encouraged for the future. He's starting to pull it all together, or so everyone hopes. Carlos Beltran struck out wicked stuff from Jorge De La Rosa. He was furious, too, slamming the bat down.
No, that curveball nasty, and apparently Ted Barrett, feeling as though Beltran didn't ask for help. That's what he was upset about. There's a pitch to Cliff Floyd. If any part of that baseball touches any part of the plate or crosses any part of the plate, it's a strike. At least on Cliff Floyd, the Brewers got a break.
Come on, that's a strike.
Yes, it is. He was out.
Here's JJ. In on the hands. Part of that double switch came on. Bradford retires, the Brewers shortstop. Hardy now sees that average drop to about 240 on the season.
Why do I get the sense that a home run is going to win this game?
I think you're right. If it's against Bradford, it'll be the first home run of the year. If it gets against De La Rosa, it'll be the first home run of the year. Neither one of them have surrendered a long ball. It's been a tough go of it for JJ, by the way. He's hitless now in his last 13. Strike 1 to Ricky Weeks. He did homer back in the 5th inning. Reached on an error by the first baseman Delgado in the 8th. Tried to stay back on that breaking ball and found a hole. He's hustling toward 2. The throw Got it.
Well, aggressive base running for Ricky Weeks, and a good job down there by Jose Valentin to make a good throw to second base, putting the pressure on the defense. Ricky thinking two right out of the box. But you know what? With one out already and the middle of your order coming up, it might not be a bad idea to stay at first.
So just like that, 2 outs. Bill Hall takes high and away, 1-0 the count. Nice job for a guy, Bill, that's played just about everywhere on the diamond in his career.
He has played some outfield after his days at shortstop with the Brewers. White Sox threw him in the outfield, did pretty well. He's always had a pretty good bat. And that was a nice play out there in right. He had a long way to go to get to that baseball and able to get Ricky at second base.
2-0 here. How about a homer with the pink bat? Let's get out of here. 5-5 game. High fly ball, deep right field. Happy Mother's Day. Gone! Guess who wants to use the pink bat again tomorrow? That one's for you, Mom. The first home run allowed this season by side wheeler Chad Bradford.
Well, 2-0, he's not trying to pull it. Gets a fastball up. I think he knew he got it. What do you think? Way into that Mets bullpen, and the Brewers go away happy. Yep, he knew it. I'm not sure if Mom knew it was gone, but son knew it.
Oh, that is magical. Just magical. What a ball game.
Well, sometimes you just get the sense that a home run's going to win it, don't you?
You called it, partner. You called it.
It's been one of those days.